in Northern California, our house was adorned with furniture from India. We had all these brass trays and tables and these 3 foot tall, as tall as me at the time, these candlestick holders made of brass, and this beautiful, lovely carved brass urn, and this end table that was carved of wood that had this inlay of ivory that was in this Rosetta pattern of diamonds, and there were carvings of elephants and goddesses and leaves, and it was all mixed in with our 1960s furniture in our living room. Now, in the family room was where the gathering of the family by the television set quietly, where we'd watch episodes of, you know, all the family and MASH. But the living room was for, well, it was for the living. That's where all the guests gathered when they had adult parties. It's where we opened up gifts on Christmas Day, and it was where we danced and sang, because that's where our parents' stereo cabinet was. My baby sister and I, we were obsessed with one of my dad's record albums, Herb Alpert and the Tijuana Brass.
Oh, I love that band. It's just a fantastic band. They had that beautiful album, Whipped Cream, with that cover, the naked lady and the whipped cream.
Yeah, no, exactly, but that's not the one, because that was in my dad's private collection. I'm allowed to see that one. But this is the one. My sister and I would stand at opposite ends of the centerpiece, which was this brass table that was the shape of a cat's eye, and it was on top of these 4 wooden teak legs, and we would slowly parade around the table, back and forth, slowly picking up with the pace of the music. But we had one rule: you were not allowed to tag the person or touch the other person. You had to remain equidistant from each other, flocking each other the entire time, no one being the leader and neither of us being led. My father crashed one of his fighter planes shortly after World War II, and he severed a tendon in his right hand, and when it was reassembled and reattached, he had lost full range of movement in it. But that's okay, he was left-handed. But he began flying C-130s at that point. C-130s are these cargo planes, these massive Herculean planes that were used for hauling cargo to Vietnam and back. And my dad, he loved this plane, because this is also where we got all the furniture from India. But he loved this plane because in his eyes, it was almost impossible to wreck, because you're just, once you get up there, and it's just like you're flying for, he said every time, it was like 90% of the time, if there was a wreck, it was because of pilot error. He said, because you're up there flying for hours and hours and hours across this dull gray sky, and after a while, like, up becomes down and down becomes up. And he said 2 things: remember to trust your instruments, and always listen to your co-pilot. Now, my dad was a total goof-off of a fighter pilot, into this giant plane, and he would push it to its limits. He would take off from Moffett Airfield Base in Northern California, go screaming across the San Francisco Bay and underneath the Golden Gate Bridge, because he was pretty sure it would fit.
John, I think we've lost an engine.
Now, on the occasion that they would lose an engine heading out of Vietnam, my dad said, well, we have 2 choices. We could turn around and go back to Vietnam, or we could push on to India, where there's an air base there, and have her fixed up then. Because he was pretty sure they could make it there on 3 engines. Given the choice between the 2, the adventure to India always won out. These C-130s took to Vietnam were supplies for the troops on the ground. But the cargo they brought back were the bodies of fallen soldiers. I've tried to imagine what it must have been like for my father and his co-pilot, flying for hours and hours and hours across that dull gray sky with nothing but time and space ahead of them, while directly behind them, in the hull of this massive cargo plane, were dozens and dozens of dead bodies. The times that they pushed on to India, I like to think that maybe, possibly, the reason my dad took them there was to give these soldiers one last adventure before returning them back home.